Welcome shooters and collectors. Today we're going to be taking a closer look at a Beretta 92 Combat and a Vektor SP1 Sport. Both guns are based off the Beretta 92 platform, however these pistols have unique features to themselves. Let's begin by taking a closer look at the Vektor SP1 Sport. The biggest difference between probably the Vektor SP1 Sport and the Combat is that the Sport, get that on screen there for you, actually has a 3-port compensator, whereas the Beretta has a barrel weight. The compensator, unlike some other pistols that have compensators, this one does not have a forcing cone on it. Therefore, the frame to barrel lockup is a little bit loose, whereas the Beretta 92 Combat does have a forcing cone on it. You can see it here, and it provides a far tighter lockup. And I'll give you a little demonstration here. You can see the barrel move up and down inside the slide right there. And the barrel of the Beretta just doesn't move at all. It's really nice and tight, so it provides for a really good lockup. It's a really nice feature to have. Kind of wish Vektor had done that, but they didn't. I guess they didn't deem it necessary. It's about the only thing on this pistol that I wish they would have done that they didn't. The next thing we'll take a look at is the front of the grip here. It's got these nice lines cut in it for a grip. They're all right. It doesn't give as well of a grip as the cross-cut checkering of the Beretta Combat, as you can see here. The Beretta also has lines cut into the trigger guard where the Vektor is smooth. On the back side, the Beretta is also cut with cross-cut checkering, and the Vektor is not. The Vektor actually has a one-piece grip that is bolted on the bottom here, and this is a really nice grip. I really like this grip. I think it's far better than the Beretta. It's contoured a little bit for your thumb and index finger. It fits the hand really well. It's aesthetically pleasing, I believe, because there's no screws, because it's held on in place by the bottom, and just being a one-piece grip, it's just really nice. Next thing to take a look at would be the magazine release. I prefer the magazine release of the Vektor over the Beretta, just because it's extended. If you have smaller hands, it'll be a little bit easier to hit than the Combat, but the Combat works fine if you have larger hands. There's no complaints there either. It's pretty easy to hit. While I have the magazine out, we'd like to talk a little bit about that. The magazine of the Beretta and the Vektors are totally interchangeable. So if you come across a Vektor and it only has one magazine, don't worry about that at all. Just get some Beretta mags. You don't have to cut a slot or anything. They're just really good to go. They go right in, that's it. They're totally functional and work great. The safety on the Beretta, I kind of prefer it a little bit over the Vektor. It's a little bit bigger. It's got more of a little rest on it. It's very easy to hit. But the SP1, really, there's not much to complain about with it. It's very functional. It clicks well as well. It clicks easily as well. You definitely know when it's on safe and when it's not, and it's very easy to hit. The slide release for both the Vektor and the Beretta they look to be identical. They really do. You probably swap them out, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. The rear sight of the Combat is adjustable, and to me it kind of just looks like it was an afterthought. They just slapped it on, and that was it. You know, they went with adjustable. It is a target pistol, and so you know most people would demand an adjustable rear sight. However, I am a huge fan of the sight that is on the Vektor. It comes up, goes across down the back of the slide, and then it comes down a little bit behind the slide. It has a really nice sight picture to it. Looks really good, aesthetically pleasing. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a Novak. And Vektor did a really nice job on this side. It really is a good looking side, and it's pretty low profile as well there. The next thing to take a look at is the trigger. Surprisingly, these triggers are a little bit heavier, but you can get spring kits for them and do whatever customization you want, and get the triggers down to, you know, like 2.5 to 3.5 pounds if you like that. The Beretta Combat currently breaks around, surprisingly, around 4.5 pounds, which seems a little heavy to me, but it's not as heavy as the Vektor, which is actually around 5.5 pounds, and which is kind of surprising for a single action, you know, pistol. The Beretta has an over travel screw here. It's actually located inside the trigger. You can adjust it to do your over travel. The Vektor has an over travel screw that's actually in the frame, and I'll show that to you in a second. There's also an additional screw, and something that I really kind of bothers me a little bit is the triggers for both pistols, and that's because they're curved back and they're in their single action mode, and they apparently, I believe they just used the standard double action single action trigger instead of making a proper single action trigger for these pistols. Now, I do know that Vektor did later make a straight trigger for these to sort of help with that, because with my hands, my natural placement of my index finger is right here, and instead I have to pull it all the way back here, so I have to like bend my finger, bend my knuckle a little bit more, and it doesn't just feel as natural. And like I said, they used a double action single action trigger here, and the reason they did that is it's kind of a neat thing. And also too, one other difference is, of course, you just pull the slide back and rotate this 90 degrees to get the slide off. Whereas the Beretta, you have to push a button to get the takedown lever rotated. But getting back to the trigger has, and it's kind of difficult to see here, but there's two screws right there. The bottom one is the over travel screw for the trigger, and the top one, the top screw, you can actually remove, and the trigger will go into a double action single action mode. So the trigger will, you know, it'll come back into its regular double action mode. So actually you have a double action single action pistol that you can also convert to single action. And I'm surprised people that customize Berettas haven't picked up on this. I really am. You can, I should also say that the screw actually pushes against the trigger itself right there. It's a little bit hard to see, but that's what it does. And it's a really neat feature that Vektor did, and I really like it. I wish Berettas did it, you know, like perhaps on their 92 Performance, pistols like that you could easily convert over to single action. I'm a big fan myself of, you know, when you target shooting, I prefer the single action mode only. Another thing we'll take a quick look at are the internals here of both pistols, and they look identical. And don't quote me on it, but I would say that the parts are the same. I would see no reason why they wouldn't be, why Vektor would change anything. The ejectors look the same. Slide release looks the same. I'm not sure about the hammer, if it's cut the same with the sear or not, but I don't know why they would do anything differently. In fact, if you take let me see if I can remember this correctly. If you take the Vektor slide and you take the 92 Combat, it actually hits. It doesn't fit. Let's see if I'm doing this correctly. Nope, I take that back. It does fit. It would look like that, pretty much. However, you can't lock it in place because the takedown lever is different, and there has to be a notch cut in the slide to get this to rotate 90, so you can't do that. But it does fit. It does fit. No issues, it seems. So really, if you did cut that in there, you could, I bet money it would function just fine. Now, one other thing I'd like to show you quickly, if I can get my slide off my frame here. There we go. If you have a Vektor and you take the slide off, you know, you just get it, you take the slide off, and you're cleaning it and everything else, and then you go to put the slide on, and you get it to right here, and it will not go back on. It won't slide to where you can get the takedown lever into the groove here to turn it. Just will not do it. And you can sit there for about 20 minutes trying to figure out what the heck. You can turn it this way, turn it upside down, right side up, whatever, and it just will not go back on. And what you need to do is, you see this little piece right here, this little metal piece, you need to push it down, and it barely moves. It goes from there to there, and usually it's barely up. But if it's just barely up, it will hit the slide and it will not let you go all the way back. And then, so see, I've pushed it down, slide, and it goes back just fine now, and it's back together. If you don't know that, to push that down just a little bit, because if it's just up a hair, it won't go back together. And that's about it for the review. Both guns are a lot of fun to shoot. They do come up on GunBroker. I will tell you this, that if you do searches on GunBroker, like you do save searches for pistols, and you'll get an email if one comes up for sale. What you should know is sometimes people actually misspell these, and the correct spelling is V-E-K-T-O-R, and some people, I've seen it where it's actually spelled V-E-C-T-O-R, and if no one's looking for a V-E-C-T-O-R, you may find a good deal on it. There's a couple different models, and like I said, they're a lot of fun to shoot, and they do come up often. They are a little bit pricier than, they're definitely pricier, of course, the combat, and these are definitely pricier than a regular 92. Usually they go in the 1500 to maybe 2200 mark, depending on what it has with it and condition and everything. But overall, they're a lot of fun to shoot, and I would highly recommend either of them. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please do like it. Nobody's liked any of my videos yet, so I hope I'm doing an okay job or something. But or subscribe as well, and you'll get notification when I put more videos up. Thanks. Have a good day.